Alright, so looking back at our plans here, we're going to make the upper and lower bearings for the support of our spindle, and these will thread into our frame. Rather than machining threads on these small parts, it's much more efficient to buy these pre-made. They're come standard at a 1 inch length, so we'll turn them down, face them off, turn them down to about 7/8 of an inch. Come into a center drill and drill on the back end of these to support the actual spindle. Then we'll probably cut with a 45 degree on our tool and then file this to a 60 degree. And then we'll turn off the threads on this, and later we'll come back with a hacksaw or something and put that little notch on the end there. All right, so first thing we need to do is change our collet. So we have a 3/16 collet in there from when we did the spindle. So I'm just gonna trade one for the other here. All right, 3/16 out. Make sure these are all nice and clean. And line that up the key. So we can put one of our threaded parts right into that 5/16 spindle, and we'll leave it about 1/2 inch or so sticking out. Oh, tighten this a little bit more. That's a good bite. Okay. So one advantage of using the collet, since it's basically pinching all the way around our workpiece here, we can prevent crushing the threads. If we loaded this in a regular 3-jaw chuck, which really has kind of 3 points of contact, good chance that we would just destroy, if not at least damage, the threads on our part here. Sometimes you can wrap that in another piece of metal, like a soft piece of aluminum shim or something, to protect your part. On a larger piece anyways, it'd be kind of hard to do on a small part like this, so our collet will allow us to support that piece without damaging the threads on there. All right, we're in the carriage in here. We're working in a nice soft brass, so we'll be working in the high speed range, not to mention the diameter of our part is very small. So I'm going to turn this tool back, and first thing we're going to do is a facing cut. And we'll confirm that our tool height is about the center of our workpiece. Looks good. So we're just going to clean this part off, nice and easy, just like that. And what we're doing is just making a nice clean surface so we can do our measurement from. So this will be our back end. We'll come back to that. I'm going to put the front end here. Now what I'll do is I'll face this part off, and then we'll measure it. All right. So looking at our calipers here, we had this part was a nominal 1 inch to begin with. We just cleaned up the ends, faced them off. So now we're looking at 960, turn that over to make it easier, about 963. And we want to go down to 750. So first thing we'll do is take off about 200 thousandths of an inch, and then we'll come back and remeasure that. So we'll lock this in there. Turn on our digital readout. And I'm just going to touch our tool to the end. We'll zero out our longitudinal axis. And I'm going to go ahead and take off about 200 thousandths. Nice soft brass. We could take some pretty heavy cuts, but if we go too heavy, again, we might bend our part. So I'm just taking about 20 thousandths at a time. It's really quick. That was about 40 thousandths there. How's this look? It's going up pretty nice. Okay, so that's our first 100 thousandths has come off. 125. 150. 180. I'm going to take all right 200 thousandths, and then we'll just kind of confirm. All right, let's pull our part out and measure again. So I'll come over to this camera here. So where are we reading now? All right, so we're at 7 and 55, pretty much right on there. So 755, we just need to take off 5 thousandths of an inch. Basically a little skim cut. Just a little again, so I'm going to touch the tool off to the end of the part, zero our longitudinal axis. So I'm looking to take off 5 thousandths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like a nice, easy, smooth cut. Like so. All right, let's confirm our overall length. There we are. We're at 7 and 50, so we're right on the money. All right. I'm going to go ahead, since our tool bit is already turned in this direction, I'm going to go ahead and cut both of these down. So since our tool's already set up the right angle and stuff, I'm going to go ahead and do the second one now. So same process as before. Just want to clean off one end. Turn our part around. Part. Take our measurement. We're at 956. So I'm going to touch my tool off. Zero, maybe you guys can see it better. Zero my longitudinal feed there. Longitudinal axis. Uh-oh. Oh, that's a good example. I took a little too heavy of a cut, and you saw what happened to our part there. So we bent it. Got a little too much grab on there. It's a nice soft brass, and it didn't hold out on that. So, well, luckily I got a bunch of these, so I'm going to go grab another one. Okay, lesson learned. So we'll start off again here. Take a little bit lighter cuts this time. Okay. Turn our part around. Now the less that we have of our part sticking out too, the smaller our moment would be, so that might help us avoid bending the part as well. So. All right. Measure that up again. All right, new part. Cut down to 961 and a half maybe. So, all right, our two spindle bearings have a slightly different length call out. The pointed one that goes on the bottom is 3/4 of an inch long. The part that goes on top, which is a little flathead screw piece, is about 7/8 of an inch long. So we've cut this one down to 3/4. We'll go ahead and cut this one to 7/8. So again, just going to clean off the end of our threaded piece here so we can get a nice good measurement. Just no little tiny burr on there. All right, so we're at 960, about 960.960, 960 thousandths. So that 960 has got to go down to 0.875. 85 thousandths. So come up, just touch off. Let's zero that. And I'm going to take 75 and we'll measure again. So there's 20 at a time. Go nice and light here. So there's 55. Another 20 and end up at 75 thereabouts. Nice gentle cut. Okay. Let's measure that. Okay, we're looking for 8750. We are at 879, 879. We'll take about 4 thousandths. So I'm going to come up and just touch that off. I'm going to approach it on this guy. As soon as I see, okay, now I can zero. Back this out. And we're going to take off 4 thousandths. I hope you guys can see 4 thousandths on there. Okay, double check our measurement. And I think 7/8 of an inch, we have at least plus or minus 0.01 or 10 thousandths of an inch. We have plenty to work with on here. Turn that around for you. So that's 0.7, 0.874. So we're right on. That works. Okay, the next thing our part calls for is cleaning off some of the threads at the end of this, and it doesn't give us any specific call out on that, so we'll just take off 1/8 of an inch or so, make that whatever amount we want. Well, we do need to turn our tool post around longitudinal instead of a face cut. Right about. Tool post is sliding around on me over there. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to check, make sure I've got clearance in my machine because I'm bringing it up really close there. We're good to go. So I'll just touch off on that, give myself a 0 point. And what did I say? Let's go about 125, 1/8 of an inch. So no specific call out, so we can make that whatever we want. And we're just going to clean those threads off. Just about there. So we're going to go to 125. And just another thousandth or so. that's nice and clean. And since we're supposed to break all sharp edges, we'll just grab a file and just very quickly touch that. Take out that sharp edge on there. Okay. Great. We need to go ahead and drill the little actual support where the spindle will sit in there. So we'll put our part back in, lock it off. We can remove our tool bit. And we're going to go ahead and put in our drill chuck, our taper fit drill chuck. Okay. Make some room for our tailstock to come in here. And I'm going to go ahead and roll this together with the carriage up nice and close here. You can still see what's going on there. Well, hopefully that all came out okay. All right, so I'm going to grab a center drill now. Okay. And we can just tighten that guy by hand. So I'm going to bring the carriage in. And the shorter you can keep the ram on the tailstock, the better. Oh, my camera's in the way of my lock. Okay. And I'm just sticking with the same speed that we had on this guy. Again, teeny tiny. We actually probably could run it quite a bit faster. So I'm going to pull this out of the way, switch out that center drill for our actual drill bit. This is a 3/32 drill bit. A little tiny guy grabbed down there. Okay, hand tightened. Bring this in nice and easy. And we'll lock that off. And this time we're looking to go depth of 1/8 of an inch, so we're going to use the scale in the back of our ram here. And that's to the, not the point of the drill bit, but the flat on there. No, I think it's not the flat, where the flutes begin. So I'm going to touch this guy off, right about there. And I can reset my indicator on the back here. So I'm just going to dial this in to 125. So nice and easy. We'll kind of do a peck drill in and out. So one revolution on this guy is 1. There's 110, 120, well, 125. All right. So we'll slide this back out of the way. Move my drill bit. So that part's done. And you probably aren't going to be able to see that on the camera, but let's try it on this camera. So we have our nice hole drilled in there. Not sure what angle would be best on that for you, but there we go. And then we'll come back and cut the angles and stuff on the back side of this. So let's do our second one. It's the same process, same tools. In this case, a little easier to switch the part. So back to the center drill. Bring it in, lock it off. And all we're doing is just touching. Just make a little dimple on there, and this gives our drill bit something to follow when we come back with that. My camera's in the way here. All right, there we go. Okay. Zero out our tailstock there. And there's 100. Back that out. 110, 120, 125. All right. There's our other one. So Both of these are drilled out and ready for supporting the spindle from either end. And we're going to go ahead and shape this die. So I'll do a quick, so we'll use a tool bit to just quickly cut a 45 on that, and then we'll file it into 60. And then on this guy, we just want to clean off some of the threads on the other so we can make like a flathead screw top on that. Okay. Okay. Okay, to cut that little point on the end of the bearing there, we're going to go ahead and swing our compound rest here over to, 30 degrees from 90, so 60 degrees. And so we loosen up here, we loosen up over here, and I've got a little graduated scale, so I'm swinging this guy right around to 30. And I'll tighten that in. Go slides there. And so now we need a tool bit. We're going to cut on the back side of our tool holder. So my camera's in the way. There we go. Okay, so I need to swing this guy around like so. Tighten that guy down. Let's check our vertical height of our tool bit. Looks good. Okay, so again, I'm going to cut on the back side. I'm not sure if the camera can pick this up or not, but I'm going to go ahead and cut on the back side of that. Maybe I can bring this guy around here. A little bit different angle on that. Hope this doesn't get in the way of anything. All right, so we're going to run our lathe in reverse here. And using that compound rest set at 60 degrees. I'll just turn a little bit off like so. Back this out. Take another light cut. So. Let's see if this finishes it off. There we go. I think any sharper of a point we're going to hurt ourselves, so stop there. Back up the carriage here. Okay, well, there's our nice little point there. Okay, so there we have our pointed piece. And so now on our other one, we're just going to remove some of the threads. That in there. All right, so we've got to spin our tool head around here, and actually, I'm going to use a different tool bit. And this is the same one that we were using to cut down our spindle. All right, so we're going to adjust this guy around so we get the right rake and clearance on there. Like so. Okay, so do we have a call out on how long we need to remove the threads? We do not. This machine head of screw flush with threads. So we'll just give it a little bit. No geometric callouts on this, so I can kind of make it about whatever I want. Just clean off the threads. So what do I about there? That's it. So we gave ourselves a nice little nub up there. We'll cut a slot on the top of that. This is a screwdriver. There's our other piece with the pointy end. So there's our bearing support pieces.